Releases are based on capacities in law. Releases are used to release your rights and duties to things and to people. In English law, every citizen accepts a land tenure contract. And it's a part of what's called municipal law. And that turns you into a corporate person that gives you titles by purchase. Littleton gives a very good diagram on the actual tenure itself. Everything in this red box at the very top are all the people with all the individuals with a use for a fee. And all of these individuals in this top box will require a release to release the things that they have a use of for a fee in order to remove the municipal law disability. Because in municipal law, being a corporate individual, as in a citizen, is a disability in law that bars you from everything in the blue box. Everything at the bottom of the page, as you can see, there's a box in here that is a different type of person or an individual. As you can see, this splits into two ways. One is basically a legal right, and this is more of to the equitable use jurisdiction, the laws of the government, and so on and so forth. The bottom here is how the title of the king is actually split up with the authority between the Lord spiritual and temporal, and how that all portrays. You'll notice that there's numbers for each one of these. This corresponds to a different section within Commentaries Upon Littleton that explains each one in detail. This discussion is about releasing the corporate rights, duties, and actions to be so you can stand as the natural person and not as the equitable corporate person that only has a use for a fee. If we look at this a little bit closer, we can see that it takes you through the different areas of law, and when you follow it back up and around, you can see that a release can be done by law itself and also by the parties. So when it's law by itself, it takes you to an indefinite end right here. When it's a release between parties, we see that it has to go through a bunch of other procedures to actually get there. Because as we will understand by English law is all trust law, because you as the donor granting to the monarchy makes the monarchy the first trustee and the start of English law, which is all trust law. And then the monarchy is assumed to be the owner because of trust law, which when you grant a trust, the trustee becomes the assumed owner in law in order to be able to deal with that instrument or that thing. So that's where the issue comes in by people believing the monarchy created the government and the individual grants a land tenure to the monarchy, and the monarchy created a corporation that you have to accept that corporate person and to accept that land tenure. So in order for you to get that, to be in a standing in the proper capacity as donor and not as an equitable individual in fee simple, you have to release the things that you hold before you can actually release that job. Let's look at it like You work for a company and they give you a truck and a whole bunch of tools and everything, but you have to pay a monthly fee for the use of those tools and the truck that comes directly off your wage. When you want to quit that job, everything has to go back to the company before you can quit your job. So you have to take back the truck and tools. So that's basically you're releasing all the tools back to them. You get a signed document confirming that they've released you from a legal obligation to those things, because now it's back in their care and they're confirming that. So that's where confirmation comes in. And you'll notice that a release comes into play whenever anyone releases. So that confirmation also is acting as a release, because they're releasing you from that liability, from that thing that you were holding. So now that you've released those things, now you can quit your job. So now you can release your job again, right, as being that corporate person, and then they release you and give you confirmation, right, your record of employment and so on and so forth. So as you can see, all these things work the same way within reason, within common law and equity, and that's the two jurisdictions being mirrored. And we'll be getting more into that, and if you've been paying attention to the things on omnipotence, you'll already kind of get an understanding of that. So I guess what we should do now is jump into the release, and we'll do that next. Okay, I guess it would be a good time to pause and jump to the next one, no?